university, I decided to create a fashion line. I had no idea what I was doing, but I did have an idea for a character. I called her Akina, and she would attack teddy bears to steal their button eyes. It wasn't long before Akina became a t-shirt. And that t-shirt inspired a range that became a mashup of my childhood influences. Fairy tales, playing with scissors, and making art. Here are some examples of my fashion. And that's my Lilliput top, goose girl gown, and Pandora blouse. Before I knew it, I found myself on an interesting journey. I won a Qantas Food of Youth Award, and here's me looking nervous on stage. And that's a picture of me looking nervous on stage. I then got a mentorship with Peter Morrissey, who is an Australian fashion icon. That's me and Peter Morrissey there. Magazines started to write about me. Then I won a Churchill Fellowship grant and went to Japan to study the underground fashion subcultures in Tokyo. That's me in Japan with some of the wonderful people that I got to spend lots of time with and to interview. So yeah, it was an incredible experience. Suddenly I found my clothing being stocked throughout Australia and boutiques in Harajuku, Japan. And just as I was about to embark on a possible fashion career, I decided to pack away the scissors and pick up a pencil. It was time for a change. I've always loved books and hanging out in second-hand bookstores. There is something wonderful about the smell of old books, or to me anyway. In fact, this peculiar madness began to consume me, and I just had to make my own. It meant I had to start writing again and creating art for the words. I began making limited edition handmade books and hoped perhaps people might like them. Maybe even buy them, fingers crossed. Here are a few books I made. That's my quaint little rhyme, so that was generally just poetry based. This was Poems for Pietro, a collaboration I did with a classical music composer, Cyrus Mirren, and he actually set some of his music to my poetry and turned them into lyrics. So this is the exposed find. That was pretty challenging, but kind of like a cool feature that I like to incorporate someday into more of my books. This is just the cover of Poems for Pietro, and that's the Little Mermaid, and that's just the cover. Lucky for me, people did start collecting my books. My handmade book, Charlie's Widow, was presented to cult film director Tim Burton at the opening of his Wonderland exhibition at the Australian Centre for the Moving Image. And that's the book that he received. He said he really liked it, and of course I was thrilled. Little did I know at the time that it would be my last handmade book. I have always exhibited my art in Australia, little shows here and there. If I was lucky, the paintings would sell, and I would celebrate with pizza. If they didn't, I would post them online, hoping that a buyer might come along. One particular day, a buyer did show up, and I was very lucky indeed. What started out as a simple transaction fast became a year-long love letter. He was a writer too and lived in a forest of twisted trees by the sea. Well, to cut a wonderfully romantic story short, I decided to hop on a plane and move to New Zealand, where I unpacked my books, scissors, pencils and poetry. Here is a photo of a sunset from my studio today. It wasn't long before Michael and I started working together on projects. Ideas for paintings, books, even fashion. I started exhibiting in shows at the renowned Copro Gallery in Santa Monica, who have also worked with a couple of my favourite artists, Mark Ryden and Audrey Kawasaki. My work started appearing in other US galleries. And I was also handpicked to exhibit in the Playboy Redux exhibition curated by the Warhol Museum and Playboy Enterprises. It really felt like I was on my way to becoming a full-time artist. That was my career path. However, time was to prove me wrong yet again. In fact, I was busily putting together a collection of artworks for a major solar exhibition when something really extraordinary happened. The poetry I had been writing in between painting was starting to get noticed and suddenly went viral across Tumblr. And here's a screenshot from my blog. And this is one of the poems that went viral, and as you can see, it's had over 300,000 notes today. People started writing and asking for a book. Rather than make one, I thought about publishing one. Michael thought it was a great idea too. So L&M Publishing was born. And Clown Girl, who was supposed to be part of an exhibition, had a career change too.